Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV2. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Anthony Stokes agrees to join Hibernian again. John Daly takes temporary charge of Hearts as the search begins for a new manager. Adam Rooney misses out on Aberdeen's trip to Cyprus. Yeah, just a few of the talking points on the programme this evening. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. Our bookroom guest, I'm delighted to say, is the Queen's Park manager, Gus MacPherson, all set for another season of pressures, trials and tribulations, the highs and lows of it all. And any journalist who's following Queen's Park, it'll just be an absolute joy, Ruffy, because he always gives you a great line. There's always a strong news line when you go for an interview with him. It's a joy.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and as Gus will tell you, year on year you're getting stronger and stronger, and what a place to play your football in.
Yeah, absolutely. I was being facetious there, don't you? Because
No,
honestly,
you
trying to strangle a line out of him was unbelievable. Until one day, eventually, I went into the dressing room and I said, "Listen, Gus, come on, it's a quiet day. Just give me a snippet of something." And to his credit, and he gave me a line about an inquiry that St Mirren had made for Duncan Ferguson. But the great thing about it was, Gus, you'd gone on the minibus and said to everybody, "We will lead the sports news tonight."
I know, we were coming back from training, at 12:30, and then you rushed back to the studios to get that back out there, and then we said, coming back from training, "Wait till you hear this, we will be the lead story." And boys couldn't believe it, but there it was. St Mirren tried to sign Duncan Ferguson, but it never got much further than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk about a club who are trying to sign somebody, but it could be £200 million and no change. I'm talking, of course, about Neymar coming up a little later on the programme. As the clock stands at the moment, I think Celtic not too far away from kicking off in their match. They know what's at stake, Ruffy. It is absolutely huge for them. It's almost, 30 million plus for Celtic to get into the group stages. They'll still have this playoff match to try and overcome if they can get through against Rosenborg tonight.
Yeah, it's a massive game for the players and massive pressure. They all know exactly what's at stake. Some of them might be in the team who haven't been there before, and it's going to be a big night for them. I've always been on record to say that be better if the three big ones were there. Obviously Dumbelli, Sinclair will be there, and Roberts isn't there. I think if you look back at the campaign last year, when things were just going along and they turned the game, they three players single-handedly just upped their game and won it. But it's not going to be the case this time, so a lot of the players will have to stand up and be counted.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one point that really rankles with Brendan Rodgers and Scottish football in general is champions of the Premiership in Scotland having to play so many games to get to the group stages.
This is where it comes back to the financial side of it, and it's difficult to get our head round of it. It just shows what we've got to get through to get to those stages of it. But I certainly think, I always remember Gordon Strachan saying that competitive players really need these competitive games when they come along to come to the fore. And I think Celtic have got those types of players, and I fully expect them to go through.
Yeah, OK, let's have a look at the headlines on the back pages this morning. If you were getting up, you can see the Sun there. And of course, this is a reference from Anne Budge to the sacking of Ian Cathro. And it's basically, there was a fear that some of the fans who've been investing, to their credit, in Hearts regularly may well have withdrawn some of the investment if Hearts had continued down this road with Ian Cathro. Also, there's a little reference there to some of the abuse that was hurled at Lee Griffiths at the airport when Celtic were checking in yesterday. And there it is. Beat it. I think Brendan Rodgers offering some note of caution as to what they're facing and maybe making alternative arrangements in Glasgow. Also, there's Levine is to blame for Cathro's shambles, as a reference to Michael Stewart's comments. The Daily Mail is again on the right-hand side here. The pressure is now on Craig Levine as well, after his appointment didn't work out. And the Courier's got an interesting story on Dundee United willing to consider offers for Cammy Bell, who was I think, a star for them, saved 3 penalties in 1 match. And also there's Darren O'Dea mentioning how impressed he's been as a captain with the manager, Neil McCann, since he came in. So lots to talk about. I think first and foremost, Aberdeen will be the focus of attention, because as well as hoping Celtic get through, Ruffy, Aberdeen have a 2-1 advantage to defend out in Cyprus.
Yeah, and I think we're all hoping that goal that the Cypriots got isn't going to come back and haunt them. I think they've got a good squad to go over there to compete, and I think they should have enough experience to try and nick a goal here and make it a lot easier for them. But I've said all along, being on Cyprus on holiday this year, I think it's going to be unbelievable heat over there. When I was there, it was 38, 39 degrees. It's going to be a tough night for them. They obviously will have the pre-season under them, but I think that more than anything else will be the one that might make them unstuck.
Yeah. Did you move at all in Cyprus, Ruffy? I mean, did you move maybe for a pina colada?
No. Well, obviously I had a sunbed, which made it a wee bit easier.
There's the unbelievable heat for somebody who's fit and has to move in Cyprus. Strangely enough, Adam Rooney is not going to be risked. I think he's got a thigh injury, which they're not going to take any chances on for the opening game of the SPFL season. But I think, even with the 2 quality players they lost in the summer, he's got more than enough there, I think, to actually get through tomorrow.
I think so. I think they've been quite impressive, in the build-up and the previous round. Greg Stewart is a top player. I think people talked about him, at the early part of their pre-season. It is still pre-season, but how impressive he has been. He was excellent with Dundee, and he got his move down south, but now Derek's been able to attract him to Aberdeen. I think he could be key. I agree with Ruffy, with the climate, and the humidity over there. That will be a tough test for them. But I think they've got enough experience in the team. It's not as if it's a young, inexperienced team. They've got a good team spirit about them, it seems to be, and that's been built over a couple of seasons. That's not just came together. So I certainly think that 1 goal, I'd fancy them to score over there, with the experience that they've got, within the group, and also their game knowledge as well. Yeah,
and here's what assistant Tony Docherty had to say about the task facing Aberdeen.
You saw the approach that we adopted over in Bosnia. This is slightly different in the fact that we have an advantage, we've got a goal of a lead. But we need to make sure we play a similar type of game. We need to be organised against the ball, we need to be concentrated. But the important thing is we carry a goal threat. So we'll do that, and with our experience we've gained from the Soroki game and previous years' campaigns, we'll go out there with a game plan, and we're confident we've got the players that will execute that, and we'll get the job done.
Well, Ruffy, they've certainly got goals all over the place. I mean, midfield and up front, as Gus alluded to Greg Stewart, but Shinnie scored a cracker in the first leg.
Yeah, he certainly did. And it's not the first time he's done it, and obviously he went there as a full-back and they've moved him into midfield. He certainly gets up and down the park, and he's always there or thereabouts to score that kind of goal. But for me, the wee boy Christie's the player. I think he, year on year, will get better and better, and I think he'll be a big player for them tomorrow.
Yep, Graham Shinnie was talking at the assembly of the captains at Hampden Park a couple of days ago. Let's hope he can get a goal for the Dons. They've lost out in the last 3 seasons at this exact stage in the tournament, but he's hoping they can take it a stage further.
Since I've been here, we've always been nearly into this round, and it's been frustrating. Some of the games that we went out, even Maribor last year, I thought we were the better team, even over the 2 legs. So it's been difficult, but we're in a different situation this time, going over with a lead. So yeah, it'll be a massive game. They were a good opposition, and especially at home in Cyprus with the heat and the home atmosphere and everything else, it'll be a tough game, but one that we know we can do. The last round we went over there knowing that we had to score and had to go and win. But this one we're in front, so we don't need to score, although I think we can score. I think they showed that we can exploit their weaknesses, and there will be chances over there, but they'll be the team that'll be coming out and trying to attack and need a goal. So it's all about us working to a game plan and trying to put that in place.
Might open a wee bit of space for the Dons to exploit. Briefly, Gus, how do you see it going?
I think Aberdeen will win. Just what the guys have touched on there is the experience that they've gained from previous rounds and from previous seasons. And I think the experience within their team will be enough.
Ruffy?
Yeah, I think they'll be good enough to get a draw.
Okay then, Aberdeen to go through. Let's hope we're celebrating as we start off the new season across all 4 divisions in Scotland at the weekend. Let's hope we've got 2 teams still involved in European football. Okay, taking you into the break. As ever, we always like to test your football knowledge. There's a Brazilian all set for a big move, but there was another Brazilian, I wonder if you remember his name, for our quiz question. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Queen's Park manager Gus MacPherson is our boot-room guest tonight. Alan Ruff alongside me, Peter Martin. We've been talking about the Dons. We now switch our attention to a man who's sampled Easter Road on more than a few occasions. He's back there now, Anthony Stokes. I think this is a really good piece of the jigsaw for Hibs, Ruffy.
Yeah, and if Neil Lennon can get him playing the way that we all know he can, he scored spectacular goals in his career. I've already said when he went to Hibs the last time, okay, he turned up in the cup final. I expected a lot more of him in the league games, and maybe just because he wasn't settled in there long enough. And I think somebody like Neil Lennon will get the best out of him, and I think he'll be a great player for the supporters to see, because on his game is exciting to watch.
Yeah, I think the calibre of this player will excite the Hibs fans. 9 goals in 6 months. I think they were looking possibly for more, but then he signed off with the ultimate, a goal in the cup final in what eventually proved to be a 3-2 win for Hibernian.
I was listening to Neil at the weekend there on the radio, and he was saying how hard they've worked to try and get this deal concluded. So it shows there that how much that they've wanted to get Anthony Stokes back at the football club. Neil's worked with him before. He knows what he brings. He's a match winner. It maybe didn't happen immediately at Hibs. Maybe it took a little bit longer just to settle. But you know what you're getting with Anthony Stokes. He's a real match winner. He's a goal scorer. He enjoys playing on the edge. And I think that's something that Hibs will really be looking forward to, or the Hibs supporters will be looking forward to seeing this season in the Premier League.
I'm going to make a bold statement here on this one, Ruffy, and Gus, I don't know if you agree with me on it, but I think they are better off, even with the loss of Cummings, with Anthony Stokes coming in, if they can get the supply to him.
If you can get the Anthony Stokes we all know, the one that Gus is talking about, he's got quick feet, he's really quick in the box, and if you can get him back to where he was, I would agree with you there. Obviously, I still think the boy Cummins has got something to offer. The experience of being down in England will help him, but again, Neil's got him because he knows what he can do. He'll seen him in training, he'll know what he can do match day, and as Gus said, he's a match winner.
He had a full season, Gus, back in 2009, 2010. He got 24 goals. And there were players there that were able to supply him back at that time. I think now when you look at the way Neil Lennon is structuring the side, maybe Commons is possibly the last piece of the jigsaw to play off the strikers if his back injuries are behind him and they can come to some sort of deal.
Well, you look at the partnership which he seems to be looking towards, the big Lithuanian guy with Stokes, and that takes a bit of pressure off Anthony Stokes as well, that if he's not up there and being the focal point of the attack and the big lad, and leads the line and takes a bit of pressure off him, Anthony Stokes will enjoy that, and he'll get a little bit more space, a little bit less attention, and a little more space, and if he gets space, that's when he can really exploit that, and he can score all types of goals, inside, outside, head, left and right. He's strong on both sides, so he's an exciting player, to have within the squad. And again, talking about service, but it's just him with the experience now that he's gained, and being in the right place at the right time. He'll be a major asset for Hibs. Yep,
here's what the aforementioned player had to say when he touched down in Edinburgh today.
I think this year, it's a great squad of players they have there, and obviously with Lenny involved as well, so I think everything about it was the right thing for me. Listen, I think the top half of the league is it's got to be the aim. I think if you look at the squad we have, it's nothing signed yet, but you look at the squad of players there at the minute, it's some real quality there, so we need to try and push ourselves and aim as high as possible.
I think Hibs will be top 3, top 4. again, I'm setting myself up here. Ruffy's being a little more cautious on this one. Again, sometimes you look at what's going to happen with your great rivals as well. We're still waiting to see what kind of appointment they make, but I think Hibs are well placed because they've had a good League Cup build-up, pre-season games. Everything's rosy in the garden at the moment.
I would expect Hibs, and I know, well, I don't know, but I expect Neil would be looking for that as well, to be round about third or fourth, and competing in that area of the table with the resources that they've got, with the stability there at the football club now, the facilities that they've got, everything is in place to attract top quality players. I would probably disregard the time in the Championship. It's now and moving forward that they have everything in place. Good management team as well, who knows what's required to play at that end of the table, can deal with the pressure and the expectations, not a problem because of managing at Celtic. So I would expect them to be in that area, and I'm sure a lot of Hibs supporters would be as well.
Yep, from Easter Road to the west end of the city, and Hearts fans just waking up to back page headlines wondering who is going to replace Ian Catterall, who was sacked yesterday. Now John Daly is going to take interim charge until they find that replacement. It's not ideal, Ruffy.
No, it certainly isn't. Not with your first game coming up, away to Celtic. You'd want to be a lot more stable than that. It depends on how quickly they move. If they have got somebody in mind who could come in quickly, it'd certainly be a lift for everybody concerned. If there's somebody come in before the weekend, I don't know if that is the case. And it'd be interesting to know, as you've said there, what they're thinking, what way they're thinking. Are they thinking an ex-player? Are they thinking somewhere out the box? Is their applications going to be called for? We'll have to wait and see. But certainly they need somebody in there, to steady the ship.
Gus, it was an appointment that divided opinion. Where did you stand on his appointment, Ian Catterall, in the first place?
I don't know him as an individual. I hear mixed reports, good, bad. Our youth department at Queen's Park were over in Valencia on one of the trips, and they came back, the coaches glowing about him, saying how good he was with the kids and his coaching, how open he was and communicating with them. So when he got the job, he's obviously a top coach of where he's worked and what people say about him, but the coaching side of it is a very, very small part of it. The management is completely different, when you're going into the dressing room with experienced players, or any type of players, in terms of managing that side of it. It was a gamble, quite clearly, everybody said that. But I could understand the gamble at that point because they were sitting comfortable in the league. I think second position, second or third.
Yeah.
So they could probably afford a gamble at that time. I think the circumstances have changed considerably now. I don't think they can afford to gamble. I think they'll be looking for tried and trusted experience and a knowledge of the Scottish game to come in there, and a figurehead, that can walk into that dressing room and have that presence.
If you were picking that man, who would it be?
I heard Darryl saying Stephen Presley last night. I wouldn't disagree with that. Paul Hartley's available.
I'm in the Peter Houston camp.
Well, I would go for either Peter Houston or Tommy Wright. That would be my choice for that position.
Yeah, and the other part of it as well, and I'm glad you picked up on it, coaching is one thing, and then there's obviously the level that you need to step up to, where suddenly you're thrust out into the public domain and the press, and guys like myself and others are going to ask you questions. And I'm not blowing your own trumpet here on this one, but quite simply, you said there's much more to it. There is. You're skilled at handling questions where you know the angle that it's coming from. You can see it a mile off, and sometimes I've seen you straight batting it. But the other part of it, which I thought was always going to be the most difficult when he signed, was convincing the players to buy into his plan. Everybody playing for him, battling.
Well, I don't know, because I've not seen him on a training pitch and the work that he would do. From what methodical in everything that he did, But the most important thing for any manager, any coach that you're going into that position, got to win games. I can remember very, very early on in my managerial career, one of our top managers in time just sent me a text before a game and said, just win. That's the be-all and end-all for the manager of the senior team, the first team. It's the only result within a football club that should matter, is the first team. Beyond that, whether it be development, reserves, Colts are kind of trigger-happy word at the moment, but they don't matter. Those results don't matter. The pressure's not there. It's the one result. You must win, especially at a club like Hearts.
Just briefly, is Craig Levein under pressure now, Ruffy, in your mind?
No, I don't think so. I think him and Budge are quite close together. I think they look as if they're working together, you know, so I don't think so, you know. Obviously we heard all the things behind the scene that were going on. Only the people behind the scenes will know what input he had in team selection, team signing, and obviously working with the coach.
This is going to be a great season for us, Ruffy. We are going to argue non-stop, disagreeing right, left and centre. I can sense there's going to be a real needle about this. We're playing tennis, we don't like each other and that, or football, the whole thing. We are going to fall out this season. I just get a gut feeling about it. It's going to be absolutely magnificent. I love a noise up. More from Gus MacPherson. We're going to talk Queen's Park as well on this programme. What about this question? Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. Don't forget to join us for the start of the new season, Saturday, 2 o'clock, STV2. Really looking forward to your company. Gordon Smith will be alongside Hugh McDonald, Ruffy and myself, ready to bring you the best of the action. Reporters out at the key games across the country. If there's a goal anywhere, we'll keep you right up to date with it as well. So, set your watch to 2 o'clock on Saturday. Join us, STV2. Just one other little story I wanted to get your thoughts on, Gus, which I picked up in the evening news. Darren McGregor mentioned that he felt it was unfair that bookings were carried on to the next season. He's picked up 6 bookings. I think he misses the opening game of the season, which I agree with him. I think, you know, especially if you're a defender, if you're picking up bookings, they end at the end of the season.
I think this system that's now in place is better than the one we had many years ago. I think it's difficult, you know, because then, and I know Hibs had important games towards the end of the season, but therefore you would look at it and think, well, if there's any chance of picking up the caution that would, we know it's there, that you then have to say, well, I'm not risking you in that situation.
No, wait a minute. The question is not how do we cheat the system. My question is, should we change the system?
No, I think I think it's okay as it is, because I think we've had it before when it was, I can't remember exactly, but these 6 bookings were certainly, the points accumulation was a lot better. And it's a lot harder to become suspended now. People will then argue and say that there's more cautionable offences now, yes, whereas before it used just to be a straight blootering somebody and you picked up a yellow card, but there's so many now. But when you know you're getting to that at the end of the season, it's then a situation you've either got to be careful as the individual, or the staff have got to be aware. We had a situation towards the end of the season but we were getting into key games, but our captain, Ryan McGeever, picked up a caution, which took him over the disciplinary points, which were kicking into this season. It's starting, but it didn't bother us because he's now a Brecon player. Yeah. He's got to serve that suspension. He's got to serve that suspension with Brecon. So, but we knew of it. But the games were so important that we had to have him there.
But I don't think, I'm not dismissing all footballers thinking far ahead, Ruffy, but I don't think footballers do think that far ahead, you know,
I agree, they don't.
5 or 6. They're looking and saying, how do we win this game? Win for the manager. And also, I'm assessing a situation here. Am I going to take a yellow because this foraging midfielder is going past me and we're going to be 2-on-1, so I'll take him out. So my point on this, and I can understand where Darren McGregor's coming, and Gus just mentioned it there, there's so many more situations where you can pick up bookings. I think you get to the end of the season, you go bang. Because this all started, of course, when you started getting to semi-finals of major tournaments. and the final, you missed the best players because they picked up a yellow card.
We've still got it within the competitions, though, that you pick up the cautions within the Scottish Cup.
Yeah.
We've got 2 players suspended for, they probably don't know it, but we'll maybe find out. They've got the cautions that they picked up in last year's tournament are relevant for this tournament, that they must serve the suspension in the next Scottish Cup. So where would you stop then if it's a cup competition, it goes into the following year, the league's exactly the same?
Yeah, okay. Got your thoughts on that one. I thought you were just taking me down a road there where finally we were getting something sensational from you. But the next part, I think we are going to get something sensational for you, because I do feel sympathy sometimes. I always think of you in the summer months, because I think to myself, Gus MacPherson sometimes has to change the entire team at Queen's Park. Is it as bad this season for you?
No, it's not as bad. We've lost 5 players, but it's something you have to deal with at Queen's Park. It's the beauty of it. It's the frustration of it. Beauty for the players if they get the opportunity to go and play at a higher level. Totally understand it. I think it's harder when you're in a higher level of football than maybe what they've been used to. But we still get people contacting us, that want to get the opportunity to play in the facilities and the surroundings, everything else about it. So people want to play, but we've got to make sure it's the right type that fit into what we're looking for as well. So the recruitment process is ongoing all the time, and the junior scene kicks off this evening as well. So it's one of those that you look and say, we've got to start getting our scouts out and about at those games as well.
Is it a wee bit easier? Because we have a lot of players from the lower divisions in here. They're becoming a wee bit more sensible and saying to themselves, look, I'm not going to make it, as a full-time professional. I should maybe be looking at maybe just having a part-time job in a good club that I enjoy playing with.
You give a lot of advice to younger players. We had a trialist up there just during the week, and he was looking for advice and what he should do, and there was an opportunity to go back down south. He came from England and came back down. A club had phoned him while he was up. I said, you've got to explore that and see what's out there before you make a decision to go into part-time football, because it's a big step. But as I agree with Alan, there's a lot more players that are doing that a lot earlier in their careers, because the money at the top end of Scottish football is not what it once was.
You mentioned McGeever's on his way. I think Ross Milne, Dario Zanata, they got certainly the top scorers in the side. And again, of the crux of players that you've managed to keep, how close are you to the definitive side that's going to take you through this season? A good finish last season, 6th. But how do you build on that?
Well, first and foremost, we've got to be competitive, because I think the league will be tougher this year. There's 3 full-time clubs, whereas there were only 2 last year. You've got Raith, Ayr and Airdrie as the full-time clubs. Arbroath and Forfar coming up, I believe, will strengthen the division as well. So again, we have to be competitive. Ross Millen's still there. I think it was 9 goals he scored last season. That's from a full-back position. But again, using it to game development and playing regular football. Zanata we had on loan from Hearts. We still would like to tap into that market as well, probably later in the month, if we're able to get players in on loan.
Yeah.
But it's first and foremost, we've got to make sure we're competitive. We've done that in the last couple of seasons.
Yep. And do you set yourself any targets, or do you just think, okay, stay in the league first and foremost?
You know me, Peter, we never set any targets at the start of the season. Why draw attention to yourself with targets? No, we spoke to the players last night. Talman, they all said the same thing, which I told them to say, is that we make sure we are competitive.
Brilliant. That Largs course, Ruffy, it works an absolute...
You taught as well.
It works an absolute treat. It's unbelievable. A couple of other things I want to get you. Just out of curiosity, who do you think will win that division you're in?
I would think obviously the full-time Ayr have been very, very impressive in the Betfred Cup. Experience, good strikers, Moffat, Hugh, and good strikers. And I would certainly, if you're asking me to make a choice now, I would say Ayr United.
Yeah, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think Raith Rovers on the occasion last year showed that they could compete at a higher level. Obviously their consistency wasn't there at the end of the day, But they've certainly got experienced players as well, you know, so I would think they would fancy their chances.
Okay, just a couple of things. Motherwell have signed Ellis Plummer. This was a guy who was on loan at St Mirren and managed to get him. He's a free from Manchester City, so he's got a chance to rebuild his career at Motherwell. It's these last little bits of jigsaws for clubs now that are going to give us a bigger picture before we start saying who's going to win divisions, who's going to go down, Ruffy. It's just to see how they bed in quickly.
Yeah, and obviously we're making their decision before the games start. We're having that trial period for a month that somebody wanted to take. But I think we should nail everything right at the beginning rather than waiting.
Is that right? You think we should?
Well, you waited to the window the last time. You waited.
Well, I think the window, the window, Gus, always gives you a better indication because clubs sometimes can really duck and dive and make significant signings.
I think Motherwell up to 11 signings, you know, so Robinson wanted to do his business early and make sure he's got the group together, but a lot of managers sit back and see what's going to come to, because there'll always be a couple of, you know, strange ones that come and you think surprise you and you didn't see it coming. So no, I'd be in your camp and I'd wait until the end of August and say before the predictions are asked. Yeah,
absolutely. Ruffy, I'm going to put to your experience here. If you want us to go for it on Saturday with the old wise Hugh McDonald and Gordon Smith, the problem is when we have Gordon, we have to write it down because he cheats. It's as simple as that. He changes the script.
Well, we never looked at the board that we had at the end of last season to see who did well and who didn't. But certainly some people picked teams that just didn't come up with the goods at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be phoning Jim McInally to see what happened with Peterhead. I tipped them to win that league and it all went horribly wrong, I have to tell you. OK, coming up after the break, we'll give you the answer to the quiz question. We'll talk about a statement from Celtic with regards to some unsavoury chants from supporters. We'll talk about supporters' conduct in general as well. Ballon d'Or winner, and of course with Barcelona, some would argue he was part of one of the greatest ever Barcelona sides. You know, it's all about debating it here and now. I thought he was a magnificent player. One of my mates said he was just a sand dancer, and I thought, what a sand dancer he was.
He'd be the first pick for the sand dancers, wouldn't he? No, terrific talent. You know, and you watch the highlights of the footage. That was the strange thing. Ruffy picked 2005. You know, where did that go? You know, and I think you see the highlights. You know, it's phenomenal talent.
Is he in the top 10 Brazilians of all time, Ruffy?
As far as Brazilians are concerned, yeah, I would say so. I think we would all sit and debate, you know, if you threw up 10, where he would be. But the Brazilians love that kind of player. You know, they just churn them out, and it's amazing that they're the ones that lose them because they always come over here to Spain or Italy or whatever. So. But they keep churning them out, and I think the wee boy that Man City's got just now, once he gets another 2-3 seasons, and the boy Jesus,
Gabriel Jesus.
I think he's got something. He'll not be far behind the line.
Yeah, it's. I bow again to you, Ruffy, on this. It's Jesus if you're from Maryhill. So we'll go with both pronunciations on it. Sorry about that, Gus. One pronunciation that we don't have a problem with is Neymar. I mean, he's just said, I want to go. It's 199 million up front. That's what Barcelona have said to Paris Saint-Germain. 199 million up front. He wants away. Now, the problem here I have with that, Gus, is what happened to UEFA fair play. You know, let's see your books. How can you justify signing someone for that sort of money?
But surely with the clubs, the power and facility, everything that goes with it, they must have done their homework and their arithmetic to make it happen. Because they've obviously done that, and then the player has said, right, I want to go. Again, the player's having the final say on it, and he said, look, yeah, I want to go. So
Paris Saint-Germain from Barcelona. Now, I think the driving force in this, and this is where we talk about levels of ego, Ruffy, the real undercurrent here that's being suggested in a number of broadsheets and tabloids across the whole of the United Kingdom and Europe, is that he just doesn't want to play second fiddle to Messi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that, and probably Suarez as well. I think he probably wants to go to a club where he is number one. Before I came in here, you said Paris Saint-Germain. I'd heard he was on a jet to London, a private jet to London, before I came in there. So I don't know if that's just a stopover or whatever, but Gus is right. When you've got owners of clubs who are billionaires and can churn that kind of money out, they get their egos up, and that's the kind of player they want. And if they can justify bringing somebody like that in, the supporters will just buy into it. And I don't know how the finances work with merchandise, but you would like to think that they would do their homework, as Gus said, and recoup some of it. But even though they don't recoup it, they're just churning out billions of pounds.
Yeah, we've already discussed whether the bubble bursts or not. He scored 20 goals last season. The other aspect of him that I do like is his assists, which again are equally as important. He can see a pass between him. It was almost telepathic between him and Messi at some points.
Yeah, his movement, his awareness of guys, but it must be easier when you're playing with Suarez and Messi, and just to form that understanding. Three world-class strikers. It's just his movement, his freedom. He runs like a gazelle, you know, and it's just a talent, you know. But it may be just through his frustration that he hasn't been made to feel wanted as much in his mind.
Yeah.
I saw on the media side of it, there was an incident in the training camp, you know, and it just sort of seemed to boil over. It happens all the time, but it just so happened, you know, there's a move very close to happening that he's maybe just saying, that was the final straw. I want out.
That was the programme that we were talking about last week, Gus. If Ruffy had the chance of a move, but he had to engineer some kind of rumpus between me and him, he would gleefully get up off that chair and belt me in the jaw. It's as simple as that. You know, for 200 million, he'd probably belt you in the jaw as well. Absolutely.
When I was hearing that Barcelona, it wasn't working out because they were asking him to tuck in.
That's another thing. You only have to ask, and the reason why it's a good line is because we were in the Nou Camp and I looked at Kieran Tierney in the game against Celtic in the Champions League, and I looked and I thought, I mean, he was looking right and left. Nobody, Gus, was sitting in any position. They were just Neymar, Messi, Swap. They were just moving anywhere.
It's what we would probably see in a training game. It's just no position. Just go and play. Yeah. And I think that's what the team talk must be for any Barcelona coach. Just go and play. Yeah.
If that was a high, then this next part is a low. And it's a statement that's come out from Celtic, just saying that they are appalled by fans chanting an apparent celebration of the murder of soldier Lee Rigby. And this was recorded during a Celtic friendly match at Sunderland on Saturday. And Lee Rigby's family are hurt and traumatised by the fans' behaviour captured on video, and the club has promised to take firm action against anyone identified as being involved. I think that's the right response from the club. Now, I'm not going to name any other clubs because we live in this bubble of whataboutery. They did this, but he did that. You know, the point is this, Ruffy, there is, with social media as well, I think a growing concern in this country of some of the ills of society and people who clearly are not football fans. They peddle their bile and they drag their clubs into the gutter.
Yeah, and I saw the video clips like everybody else, and I have to say the majority of them didn't have scarves on. They didn't have strips on. They were just there to cause trouble. And I don't know why these people are out there, because most of the feedback from that game at Sunderland was how good the fans were, doing all their singing and their chanting, and at the game there was people gobsmacked of, look at this, But that element is the one that everybody picks onto, and really the club have to be seen to be doing something about it.
Yeah, that element gets a club banned from sometimes European football, heavy fines domestically as well, Gus.
Yeah, that's the financial side of it. But Celtic are known worldwide for their support. And all it is embarrassing the club. Embarrassing themselves when they're identified,
Yeah.
but it's embarrassing the football club. And I think even with that statement there that I've just heard, I think you can read into that, that the embarrassment is there.
Yeah, I think a strong stance from not only Celtic but other clubs. I think right across the country, and possibly there are stories down south as well, Rafi. I think the conduct of some fans is deplorable. But what do you do? Are you responsible for everybody, and certainly morons who are out with the stadium, thinking that they are, bomb-proof and can get away with saying anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think the clubs have been trying to do something about it. It's out with their hands. It's outside the stadium. It's not even at their stadiums, and they would say, oh, the people who are there are probably 75% of people not coming from Scotland. They're just supporters from down south, and a lot of them are there to cause trouble. But it's not just us. We look at all the countries throughout Europe just now. We keep seeing all these fans from certain places causing trouble, and I'm sure it's a problem for every club that unfortunately you can't really pin down the people that are really responsible for it.
Yeah. Just one other story to finish off with. I thought I'd get your thoughts on it, Gus. There's not as much money up here to try and help footballers, and the PFA try their best to help footballers who are down in the luck. Brian Deane, who scored the first Premier League goal in England for Sheffield United, wants more done for players after retirement down south. This is on the evidence of the huge money that's available to players nowadays. Are footballers owed a living after they've finished their career?
No, they're certainly not owed a living. I think what the PFA and everybody, senior coaches, senior management at football clubs are trying to do is educate the players as well, that prepare for it. And you can only say so much.
Yeah, well, the best question then, Rafi, is should we be doing more right across the UK and beyond?
I think we should be doing something for people who are down in the luck. I'm saying Kenny Sampson, just as somebody who's going off the rails a bit. I think these people should be identified by the clubs that they played for and do something. I'm not saying hand out thousands of pounds. I'm just saying look after them.
Okay, all up for debate. We will discuss Celtic's match in Trondheim against Rosenborg on tomorrow's programme. We'll also continue our build-up to the start of the domestic season, in the league season anyway, right across all four divisions. Hopefully you can join us on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Thanks to Gus MacPherson. We wish him all the best with Queen's Park for the season. From Ruffy and myself, good night.